Well, good morning, everybody, and whatever time of day it might be, wherever you are. I'm Doug Shealy. I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Strategic Coordination, Common Fund Office at NIH. And I've been fortunate over the past couple of years to be affiliated with this program and work with the NIH coordinators and the PIs, and really happy to have a chance to be here with you today for the final meeting of the NIH Common Fund Metabolomics Consortium. And I want to introduce our first speaker, who is Dr. Jim Anderson, who was the director of the Division of Program Coordination, Planning and Strategic Initiatives at the NIH Office of the Director. DPCIPSI, as we affectionately refer to it, is the parent organization of Common Fund. And Jim has been a great supporter of this program over the past 10 years, and we're very happy to have him with us today to welcome the folks to the meeting and to offer a few comments. So Jim, thank you very much for being here with us.
Okay, thank you so much, Doug. I want to add my welcome to Doug's and look forward to hearing a summary of the progress and success of the Common Fund Metabolomics program over the next 3 days. First, I want to ask the question, what is the Common Fund? Congress created the fund 16 years ago with the intention of moving science faster by overcoming obstacles that broadly hold back multiple areas of research or areas that would be of interest to multiple institutes and centers of NIH. They required that the programs be goal and milestone driven and time limited and involve several institutes and centers. Consequently, the Common Fund programs are designed not to work towards a solution, but to deliver a solution, one that can be widely used across biomedical sciences. We think about deliverables from Common Fund programs that can be handed to the community and change the way they do their research. So the metabolomics program really does fit that description. Just as some background, metabolomics is the observation and measurement of active chemistry of biological systems, and this has broad application and implications across many fields. While genomics and proteomics provide guidance into the instructions and machinery for health and disease, metabolomics can provide a window into the processes carried out by this machinery and provide a dynamic understanding of biological systems. So very broad implications and application. This includes not only endogenous metabolism, but also the impact of nutrition, xenobiotics, environmental exposures, changes in many diseases and conditions, as well as in our symbiosis with other organisms, such as the microbiome. So when the program was originally designed, it was designed to reduce the perceived obstacles encountered very broadly in the field. It addressed the need for access to metabolomics tools and methods. Consequently, phase one developed its 6 comprehensive centers that are still operating and providing metabolomics services. The Metabolomics Workbench provides an upload site for data and a one-stop resource for analysis tools. And then moving on to the phase 2 of the program has developed advanced tools to improve compound identification and data analysis and interpretation. So the NIH and the Common Fund have supported the metabolomics program over the last 10 years, and the growth of this field has been enormous over this time. And as we will hear in the next few days, the metabolomics program has developed important new tools for both gathering and interpreting systems level metabolomics data. And the tools developed in the program are well annotated and publicly available. And that is a common feature of Common Fund programs, to make it public and have people use what we create. As mentioned, the Metabolomics Workbench continues to serve as both a data repository and resource for cloud-based data analysis, with a wide range of tools developed in the program, and it will continue to operate as the program winds down. The program has addressed many obstacles for researchers wanting to also apply metabolomics to their questions. And the entire field is now in a stronger position to continue to produce researchers, skilled researchers in the area, provide research resources to carry out studies, and share data freely to advance biomedical research and promote the continued development of metabolomics as a field. So I want to thank everyone who's worked over these years to change the way researchers are able to standardize, store, use, and share metabolomics data and apply it to the research. And we will hear over the next few days how this program has helped to change the field. So Doug, I want to hand it over to you, or Art, whoever's up.
Thanks very much. Our second speaker in the session is going to be Art Castle, who's been a coordinator on the program from the beginning. And Art's going to give us an overview of the program, and then we'll follow on with some other discussion. Thank you, Art.
Can you see the screen and hear me?
We can hear you. Can't see anything you're sharing yet.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No.
Hang on a second. I may have.
The technology changes, but the problems persist. Instead of having a slide stuck in the carousel, now we can't share our screens.
So you should be able to share your screen. Art, try again.
I'm sharing screen 2. And you see screen 2, or?
Let me try one more option. Try again.
I think part of the problem might be, I think, all right, so it's not doing anything when I hit share screen. I think maybe the Jim has to stop sharing his screen.
Yeah,
Everyone.
let me unspotlight him. I think I had spotlighted him. Now you're spotlighted. Art, try sharing again. I can turn off spotlighting.
If you don't get it, you can send it to me real quick and I'll do it.
I've sent it to you already before, but
Okay. It's the same one.
So
All right.
yeah,
Okay, so I removed any spotlighting from you. Try it one more time here. If not, at least you can share your slides.
all right. So are you seeing anything, or?
No, Art, I'm sorry, we're not,
Nope.
not seeing anything.
I'm hitting the share screen, but just not doing anything.
Yeah.
Can you make Art a co-host?
Rick, you may have it because I don't.
Oh, okay. So tell me what wait, we can try quickly making Art the co-host. That shouldn't be necessary, but let me try that one quickly before I go try and find the talk. Let's see. If I can find Art in the let's see, there he is.
Art, I have your slides that you just sent me.
Can you even share though? I think it's something else, because I mean, it's not. the
I'll
Doug,
share
you can
screen
try
is-
sharing them.
I'll try doing that. I feel badly that you're having to deal with this.
Doug, she just
Yep,
started
you
sharing
got it.
slides.
It's
You got it?
showing. Mhm.
Okay, Art, just
Just start the slides
are
and I'll just say next.
they showing up as they ought to?
I see them. Can everybody
Yeah, they
else see
look
'em?
perfect.
Yeah, we can see them.
Okay, just tell me when
Okay.
to advance.
All right, I'm Art Castle, and I'm one of the co-coordinators in Metabolomics Common Fund Program, and I'm just going to go in a little bit more depth about what Jen has said and about this program that's been in existence for over 10 years. Next. So just the Common Fund, as mentioned, is for unique programs that help support multiple centers, multiple ICs, and usually to overcome a roadblock. Next slide. So metabolomics, as mentioned, it's the study of a large number of metabolites in living systems. It's dynamic with thousands to millions of diverse chemicals. And as mentioned, it involves not only endogenous metabolism, but the exposures and the transformations and symbiosis. So it is a window into the active biological system. Next slide. And as mentioned, it's when in conjunction with the genomics and proteomics and epigenomics, this is system biology, and it's important to understand that metabolites interact at all levels of this system. So it's important to understanding the overall systems biology. Next slide. So in order to understand the goals of the program and really understand this field, it's important to look at metabolomics technology, which in the ability to detect metabolites usually involves some type of chromatography followed by mass spec or NMR, a detection system, and then these metabolites are detected and identified as best as possible, and then put into context with knowledge about biological pathways. So we go from data to knowledge. Next slide. So why is Metabolomics Common Fund? What we learned from many of the discussions and workshops is that metabolomics has a potential to advance health-related research in many fields. And there was much more demand for the technology than trained investigators and resources available when we started this program. And also, this is a complex field. The analytical chemistry needed for detection, identification, quantification is more complex and diverse than genomics and proteomics. And translating metabolite identification to biological context of pathways requires sophisticated software and experience. And also that sharing of this experimental data is limited and not easily accessible. And this is really important to move the field forward. Next slide. So this 10-year program was broken into 2 stages. Stage 1, we focused primarily on increasing national capacity with 6 regional centers and to provide training and mentoring with collaborative projects, career course awards, courses. We stood up the repository that helps share data so people can move the field forward. And we also supported some technology and standards development. And then stage 2, which is what's going to be covered in these next 3 days, what we did is to develop the repository into a national resource and focus on 2 areas. One is to improve metabolite identification and to overcome analysis interpretation tools and hurdles, and also to promote best practices. Next slide. So in phase 1, we funded these 6 comprehensive centers to provide services, and over 2,000 services were provided and P&F projects supported. And there were 83 collaborative supplements to standing RPGs, mostly RO1s. And in this view here, you can see how this was distributed across the United States. We also had the data repository that was started, and then there was career development awards for new investigators, some educational courses, and some technology RO1s, and quite a few pilots that led to the genesis of the second phase. Next slide, please. So what were the outcomes of the first phase? Well, there were over 800 publications directly associated with the centers. And with the Career Development Awards, there was over 100 publications associated with the Career Development Awards, and all the Career Development Award individuals remain in science, and several received R01s and R35s. There was over 150 publications associated with the R01 technology development, and 93 publications associated with these pilot R03 on analysis and technique pilots. And then there was almost 200 people that attended the in-person course. Next slide. So this is a little bit more complicated slide, but this is to take a look at just the community of researchers involved in this consortium. So on the y-axis is the number of unique authors each year. And on top of the bars is the number of unique publications each year associated with the program. The grant was mentioned in the publication. So as we can see from the 2012 on, the numbers increased quite a bit. And there were a lot of people involved, a lot of unique authors and co-authors involved in the program with quite a few publications per year. Next slide. And they give a broader perspective of how that really relates to what was going on across the NIH. On the left side, we see here is the number of NIH grant awards that mention metabolomics and the specific aims and abstract. And you can see for 2012 when the program started and how the number of grant awarded increased considerably at the NIH. And then on the right side, what we see is the number of NIH funded publications where NIH grant was mentioned in metabolomics from 2012 onward. And we can see that both increased dramatically. Well, it's hard to directly connect exactly how many of them were directly influenced by this program. As shown before, there was a considerable number of publications directly associated with the program. So quite a few of these did come from the program. Next slide, please. So we're going to, over the next couple of days, really talk about phase 2 of the program. And this had 2 components. One was the 7 analysis and interpretation tool development projects, and the other were the 5 compound identification cores as seen across the country here. And then, of course, the data repository in San Diego, and then the coordinating center in Florida. Next slide, please. So a little about the improving the data analysis and interpretation tools. There were 7 projects and 11 tools developed. And then this slide here is taken from a publication that was published by a group within the consortium, and just describing how analysis tools are used from the start of the analytical chemistry to the software to the biological interpretation. And on the right side, you can see the schematic of how this works. You have pre-processing, statistical analysis, compound identification, and then trying to put this in a functional analysis in a metabolic model. And this will probably be discussed more in detail later. Next slide, please. So next slide. So the other part was the improving compound identification. And the general problem in this area is that historically, what's done to identify compounds is to use a authenticated standard and see how that standard separates in chromatography and fragments, et cetera, and compare it to your unknown. And that's how you determine that it's a match. And the more things you can, dimensions you can match it on, the more likely you're looking at what you think you're looking at. However, that's just infeasible because there's an unlimited number of compounds. So there's a need to not only use experimental methods, but also to use computational approaches to actually predict the behavior of molecules throughout the different phases of separation science, fragmentation, or metabolic transformations. And we'll hear a lot about this in the coming days. Next slide, please. So the National Repository, this was stood up originally in 2012 and expanded in 2018. Currently, there's almost 200,000 samples in the repository from over 2,000 studies, and over 30,000 known metabolites detected, and over 300,000 names that were cross-referenced to about 26,000 unique metabolites using the RefMat, which we discussed later too. And there's over 160,000 metabolite structures there. So the idea of this database is really important because you need the database and all this information so you can compare studies to get some commonality. You can identify metabolite functions, and hopefully, since a tremendous amount of raw data, over 30 terabytes of raw data is in this database, the improvement of technology can be done because of the access to all this raw information that can be reprocessed and developed, so better tools can be developed. Next slide, please. And finally, to hold this all together, we have the Metabolomics Coordinating Center, which is going to be the first presentation. And it was created to coordinate, engage, and promote the consortium with the following mission and vision. And the key components of this is to coordinate the consortium activities and collaboration, promote the consortium resources, and facilitate the meetings and workshops, and promote the best practices. Next slide. So I'm just going to do some acknowledgments for the NIH people. All the PIs and co-investigators will be acknowledged throughout the meeting. There was leadership from the top NIH, of the co-chairs, the program officers and coordinators, the common fund leaders, and the project scientists. And next slide, please. In addition, there were representatives from almost all the different ICs involved with this program. So a broad across the NIH group of program officers and extramural personnel that were involved in helping shepherd this program. And now we're going to hear from the investigators about all the great work that was done over the next couple of days. So I'm finished my presentation, so we can go to the next step.